You're watching the Scottish Football Zone with all the build-up and reactions.
Hello, and this is the last Friday show that we're doing for a wee while actually. Well, obviously next Friday we've got the cup final to look forward to, but this weekend is D-Day, as they say in the Scottish Premiership. It is, in case you don't know, it's a big game. The winner takes all at Parkhead on tomorrow at 12:30 as well. And also we've got the other games to look forward to and the playoff semi-final in the Premiership and the League One final tonight as well. Joined by Graham, I'm very happy, excited. What else can I say? Hearts fan, and Heidi, a very excited and nervous Celtic fan. So this should be a good bit of a bit of banter, as they say in Scotland. So get your comments coming in about the games this weekend, and we will try and read them out before the end of the show. So how are you guys? Are you nervous going into tomorrow's big cup final?
I'm probably as calm as I've been for the last few weeks. I don't know why. I actually feel quite calm. I think it's probably because no matter what happens, it's been an incredible season. And all I feel about Hearts is pride this season. All I want is tomorrow to go and leave everyone on that park, and what happens, happens. But I'm actually relatively calm.
Yeah, I mean, I think like if you said that at the beginning of the season, I think you would be saying, well, what have you been smoking, Michael? But I mean, Hearts has been magnificent this season. And I mean, obviously there were a bit of disappointment if you don't win it, Graham. But at the same time, it'll be plaguing the team if they don't win it, because then you feel as though that, well, what can you do next season again and build on that?
I think there might be disappointment, yeah, but you know, when you've been top for as long as we have, but again, everyone thought we were going to bottle it months and months ago, and we're still up there. And I think at the start of the season, because last season was such a disaster and we finished in the bottom six, to come in this season and be one game away from a title is just incredible. And no matter what happens, it's been unbelievable. Like, Hearts have given us so many different memories this season, so many unbelievable games, so many different emotions. It's been fantastic. And yes, disappointment might be a little bit there tomorrow if we don't win it and get over the line. But I genuinely think, I never thought I'd say this, but I genuinely think that it's quite exciting times for Hearts. And I genuinely feel that we will win a league title in the next 10 years. I honestly feel that. So whatever happens tomorrow, I am really positive about Hearts' future, which I don't think I'd be saying after last season, but I'm genuinely quite positive.
Let's go into the Glasgow camp in Glasgow. Heidi, Mia, I take it you'll be going to the game tomorrow, or maybe that's a stupid question to ask you, but how's the nerves going into tomorrow's game?
I'm not going to the game, I'll just be in the house, but I'm betting it. I'm so nervous. Like, genuinely, I really am. I don't know how it's going to turn out. I think whoever wins the league, I know it's been an amazing season. And I think, obviously, if Hearts do lose it, it will be a bit devastating for Hearts because they've been top of the league since like match day 6 or 7. So it's going to be a sore one for them. But I think to come all this way and take it to the last day is just mental, and I'm genuinely just don't know how it's going to go, but we'll just see what happens. But it's been a mental season regardless what happens.
We'll go on and talk about the game in more detail in a minute or two. Also we've got an interview to play from Jamie from the Underside podcast. He's watching. Hope you're well, mate. But I just thought we'd bring this up. The story broke half an hour ago, Graham, about the Scottish FA has basically said this afternoon John Beaton and his family spent last night at home under police protection following following personal details online. I mean, this all goes back to Wednesday night and that penal incident as well. I mean, you can argue if it's not a penalty or else if it was a penalty, but I mean, really, is people going that far now? And usually, like, I mean, we want to talk about the football game. It's been an excellent season, right? But I mean, it's all coming to a very sour end when you hear about that, you know.
You can be critical of referees and officials, and we have been all season. And the fact that there is not one Scottish official going to the World Cup says everything about the standard this season. But there's a line that you don't cross, and that's one of them. You don't leak personal information about somebody, and it's not just him; it's his family as well. They've done nothing wrong. Like, they've done nothing wrong on this. I think it's embarrassing. I think it's disgraceful. I think the folk that have done it need to be found and punished for it, because there's no need for it. Like, yes, the officials have not been great this season. Yes, they've made horrendous mistakes. And I'm going to say this now, and I'm going to stand on this hill, and I've said this before. There is no such thing as corruption in Scottish football in terms of referees. They are just not very good at their job. That's all it is. There is no corruption. I've said that for months and months and months. You can think what you like about referees, and you can think they made bad decisions, as I have numerous times, and I've done videos on it. But there is no corrupt referee in Scotland. I don't believe that for 1 second. Other folk may think that, and that's fine. But my opinion is there is no corruption. They're just not very good. And I'll stand on that hill.
And it's quite a sad end to the season when you hear things like that coming out before the game tomorrow.
Aye, it's no great at all. I mean, at the end of the day, John Beaton's a human being. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, he's a human. We all make mistakes, and I know the refs have not been the best of standard this season, but it's generally just no need for it at the end of the day, especially to his family as well. It's just not the nicest, and I think end of the day, like, all refs have made mistakes this season, even refs in England, every ref's made mistakes. It's just no nice to see, and hopefully him and his family's alright, but it's no nice to see things like that. I get the refs aren't the best, but you shouldn't be getting that. It's just no nice at all.
No, I mean, Graham, this is when, you know, I mean, we're all passionate about the games and stuff like that, you know, but that's going too far.
Yeah, some people do take it too far. You know, you said it before we came on air. It's a game of football. You know, it's not life and death. Yes, these games are important. Of course they are. But it's a game of football. Like, seriously, folk need to actually get over themselves. It's ridiculous that in this day and age, people's personal information is getting leaked online. And like I said, it's not just him, it's the family who have done nothing wrong. I just think it's ridiculous.
Yeah, no, James is making a comment about the game on Wednesday night. I suppose that we'll get your views on the incident everybody's talking about as well. Like, you know, it's even made the national news. It's totally embarrassing, to be honest, in Scottish football. But we'll speak about that in a minute. But Robbie spoke to Jamie from Off the Underside podcast about the game tomorrow between Celtic and Hearts, and this is what he had to say about the game.
Walker at all this season to actually batter anybody, which has been proven over the last few months. So, you know, when that final throw-in was coming in, I thought to myself, this is over. This is the Celtic have lost the league here. And then obviously what happens. But overall, I thought it was a very, very, very poor Celtic performance, to be honest with you.
You don't batter teams until you play us in extra time at Hampden Park, and then
that's about the only one this season, huh?
But you talk about your opponents, you're getting into the weekend, as you mentioned, probably the biggest match in at least 40 years anyway, since Sir Alex Ferguson's Aberdeen lifted the Scottish Premiership. You're taking on Hearts, who are currently top of the league. Just a point in it, Jamie. Celtic have been here and done this many a times. You've got the players that have been there and done it before. You know, a large part of that team have won a trophy with Celtic, so they know how to do it. How are you feeling heading into this weekend? Do you believe that Celtic will go on and lift the Premiership title?
I'm 80% positive Celtic are going to win the match on Saturday. My only problem is the referee. You know, the referee, will he be influenced by what's happened the last couple of days? I think if it comes down to purely football, Celtic will win the match. Hearts have been really, really poor the last few months away from home, I believe. You know, losses to St Mirren, Kilmarnock, Aberdeen, Rangers, you know, drawn to Livingston, drawn to Motherwell. You know, I just think that they've been really poor away from home, which has allowed Celtic to get back into this title race and bring it down to the last day. They're away from. So I'm hoping that continues on Saturday. I think that Craig Halkett is a massive miss for Hearts. I know that Frankie Kent scored last night, but to me, he's a downgrade on Craig Halkett. Leonard in the middle of the park is a big miss, although Cammy Devlin is now back in the equation, scoring last night as well. But I just feel that if it comes down to purely football, last day of the season, Celtic Park, 12:30 kick-off to go for the title, a packed out Celtic Park, everybody there with high expectations. I believe that Celtic, the way they've been performing at Parkhead recently, especially last Sunday, I think that Celtic should go on and win the match and win the title. But I'm really, really worried about the referee performance because, Robbie, I know that you're far too young to remember this. I know you think you were born. You weren't even born, actually. When Celtic, I was at the game when Celtic played Rangers in 1999, and Hugh Dallas was pelted by coins and stuff like that. So it's possible that referee may be influenced by what's happening surrounding him, because Hugh Dallas was awful that day, right? It really was awful. I've watched that game back several times, and I remember thinking at the time, even though I was only like 12 years old, I was thinking at the time, why is it that Rangers are getting everything here, right? But as soon as that coin hit his head and he got cut, he gave everything to Rangers. He gave a penalty literally about 3 minutes after that happened. So it shows that referees can be influenced by what's happening around about them and stuff. So I'm just really hoping that Don Robertson is strong. You know, he doesn't want to even things up is what I'm worried about, you know, because of everything that's happened last night at Fir Park. But if it's done to football, mate, I 100% believe Celtic will win the title.
Just to ask you a question that I've not seen many fans speak about, to be honest, since this sort of handball drama. There was drama at your rival side of the city. James Tavernier had an apparent bust up with Danny Rowe pre-match. There's been a statement that's been released for James Tavernier, and don't worry, I'm not going to fill the last couple of minutes with hundreds of Rangers questions, but I find this really interesting, Jamie. You look at a leader like Scott Brown at Celtic and the way he sort of left the club. You look at the way Callum McGregor will probably transition out of the club in years to follow. What did you make of the James Tavernier news? Because I feel like I get brushed under the carpet a wee bit just because everything else that sort of happened last night.
Mate, I'm not really aware of the details. What is the details surrounding why he didn't start the match then?
So, for what I'm led to believe is it was told. So, for the statement James Tavernier put, he was told on Tuesday he's going to be able to walk one last time wearing the captain's armband at Ibrox. He was planning on walking out with his children. It was originally scheduled an injection on the Tuesday, but he managed to get it pushed back to the Thursday to play that last match against Hibs at Ibrox. And as far as he was told, I think, the Tuesday night that he'd then be only on the bench. And of course, James Tavernier expressed that because his emotions were so high that he decided not to be a part of the team for that game. He said he spoke to his players. Then he obviously walks out at Ibrox after this. I think it was the Sun reported while we were actually live doing the show last night that the reported reported that he wasn't even going to be there, and then he ended up being there. So it was a bit all over the place. But then we've had the James Tavernier statement out today. But I just sort of wanted to get your sort of thoughts on it for a Celtic fan's point of view, because James Tavernier is such an interesting player with the fan base, specifically at Rangers. You know, some love him, some absolutely hate him. It is just so interesting that I can't help but feel Danny Rose maybe disrespected Tavernier in the club in that sense, because he's been serving them for 11 years. But I don't know what you think about that situation.
Well, My first question is so did Danny Rowe no start him just basically for football reasons then?
Yeah, so Danny Rowe came out in his press conference after the game and said he was sticking to his guns basically, and said that he didn't want to play Tavernier in that game because he felt like it was important to get back on track.
Right, bang it order. Bang it order. It's a completely meaningless game. At the end of the season, I know when you play for Rangers, and it's never a meaningless game, right? However, in a grand context of things, it didn't mean anything. It's a complete disrespect to James Tavernier, complete disrespect to Rangers and the club, actually. That Danny Rowe has done that, to be honest, because James Tavernier, for me, has been a magnificent servant for Rangers. I know that he hasn't won a lot, and Celtic fans, we like to gloat at that. You know, it's funny to do that, let's be honest. But I think most Celtic fans realise that James Tavernier has been a fantastic player for Rangers. To be honest, he has been a loser. You know, and unfortunately, that is just a fact from his point of view. But he's been a constant threat. You know, whenever James Tavernier's in the Rangers team against Celtic, I'm worried because his delivery. You know, everything that he's done, his goal tally for Rangers over the years has been fantastic. Totally agree with Neil Lennon what he said during the match on Sunday that Tavernier would have definitely won a lot more, but he's been let down by the players round about him. Totally agree with that. I think that he's been very, very unlucky that he's been at a Rangers side that has, in their history, that has been so poor. Because in my lifetime, mate, if I was to pick a Rangers 11, James Tavernier's my right back. He's better than Rickson, he's better than Perini, he's better than all these other guys I've watched over the years for Rangers, Alan Hutton and all that. I believe that James Tavernier is number one when it comes to Rangers right backs. But like I say, he's just been unfortunate that it's been a period of time where Rangers have not been good. But you know, they should have definitely been in that starting lineup last night to be allowed to walk out and you know, captain the team out at Ibrox one last time. Even if you play him for 60, 70 minutes and then you sub him off, you get his ovation and stuff like that. But to go, you know, we'll bring him on for 15 minutes at the end. Nah, that's not good enough, man. He wanted to be the captain, you know, lead the team out one last time. So very, very poor for Danny Rowe. And if I was a Rangers fan, I would actually look at that as complete disrespect, and I'd be worried about how Danny Rowe does his business, to be honest, in the future.
I could not agree more with you, Jamie. One question before we wrap it up. If you could take one player from the Premiership right now and put it in the Celtics team ahead of the match against Hearts on Saturday, who would you pick and why?
Oh, good question. That's a very good question. Wow. I think I'd need a striker. I need a striker because I know Maeda's been good the last couple of weeks, but I think we're missing that number 9 focal point. I'd play Maeda on the left, you know. My first thought there was Maswinisi. And I'm not saying that he's the best player outside Celtic and Hearts at this precise moment, but for what we need on Saturday, we need goals. You know, we need to wrap up the game early, in my opinion. You know, we don't want a 1-0 and then there's 10 minutes to go and then, you know, biting our nails again for the last 10 minutes. We need goals, man. So I'd probably say Maswinisi, mate, just for goals.
Perfect. Thank you.
There you go. That was Jamie's take on the Celtic game and the Rangers situation. Obviously, we'll get into the Rangers situation later on in the show, but I just wanted to stick with the Celtic what won the now, and obviously Michael has, not me, another guy called Michael. I thought I was the one and only, but there you go. He says that like the Celtic fans singing death threats to John Beaton. Well, yeah, well, to be fair, I don't know who's singing death threats to John Beaton, but yeah, I don't think you can go about accusing one set of fans and stuff like that. So we'll leave that there for another day. Okay, guys, let's get into it then. Handball. It was a penalty. Was a penalty the other night. Celtic scored, obviously, to make it a kind of cup final tomorrow. Got the Hearts side first, Graham. What's your take on it?
So, having watched it a couple of times, yes, Nicholas's hand is up, but I don't think you can conclusively say that it's a handball. And look at the power that it generates. For me, that looks more like a header than a handball. And I think the reason his hand is up is because of the nudge that he gets. And listen, when you go up for a header, your hand is going to be up at some point. I don't think you can conclusively see that touches the hand. For me, and I've watched it a few times, and everyone knows when I do TikTok or come on here, I am very unbiased. If I thought it was a penalty, I would say it was a penalty. But I just don't see how John Beattie can go to the monitor for 20 seconds or 10 seconds and say that's a definite penalty. For me, I do not think that Andrew Dallas on VAR should be calling him at the monitor. And what I would say is, if that's on the other end of the park, I don't think that happens. I don't think that's given, personally. So for me, yes, Nicholson's hand is up, but all you've got to do is look at the trajectory of the ball and look how much power there is on that. That's not a hand, that's a head for me. So I think it's extremely harsh. So for me, I don't think it's a penalty, in my opinion.
Hey, what about you?
I think, obviously, like, there's a lot of mixed opinions about this, right? Everybody's talking about it. It's been all over media and stuff. I understand why people don't think it's a penalty. I do get it, because I know a lot of people did say it wasn't a handball. I seen pictures of Sky Sports and his hand was like on the top of his head and he had like the ball like hit it, and I thought maybe that's a handball. But at the end of the day, I didn't even think it was a penalty. But at the end of the day, see if it's given for my team, I'm not going to be too fast, because obviously it gives us the 3 points. But I understand why a lot of the fans will be a bit frustrated about that, because how, it's not that conclusive enough. But I think, as we've shown all season, the referees are poor in Scotland, and we've known that they've made some dodgy decisions. But it is a very, very close one. I think it's a 50-50 one, and it's really tight to call whether it's a penalty or no. But everyone obviously has their own opinions. But I think at the end of the day, it's such a hard one to call.
Graham, is this a fair comment for me to say, like, so Celtic got the penalty, right? And obviously we can sit here until next season and argue if it was a penalty or not, right? But what happens if in the natural missed the penalty? Would there be, would people still be up in arms about it?
That's a very valid point. But where my thing comes into this is, you look back at the Hearts game against Motherwell a week ago. We don't get 2 penalties in that game. A handball by Masminista, which was a handball, by the way, and the contentious one was Kizridas getting brought down. That's a penalty. Now, again, people will say I'm biased, but I'm just telling my truth. For me, Kizridas gets his foot stood on. The guy on VAR, Greg Aitken, does his job properly. He's seen that. He said, look, you need to stop the game here, which very rarely happens, by the way. He stops the game, calls the referee to the monitor. I don't recall a time this season where a referee's gone to the monitor and stuck with a decision. That's a penalty for me. So how do we not get that penalty, but Celtic get that one? That, for me, is the issue that I've got. And again, I am not calling corruption. I'm not going to do that, because I've said it already. I just think these referees and these officials are terrible. Hence the reason why there is not one of them going to the World Cup. Yet there's people from Jordan and Iran refereeing. Does that not tell you all you need to know about Scottish referees? They are awful. They are so bad this season. And I've said this before on my own TikTok channel and on here. I honestly believe this is the worst it's been for a long time. And I'll say that again, it's the worst it's been in terms of officials this season. And what I don't want tomorrow, again, if we lose the league tomorrow, I would rather it be that Celtic have been the better team on the day, they've dominated the game and won the game fairly. That's fine. What I don't want is for tomorrow to be done by a VAR decision. That is not what I want. I want this title won fairly. We'll see what happens.
Do you think as well, Graham, that another scenario is like, if the penalty was given or in 5 minutes into the game, right, I don't think you would have heard a lot of kind of backlash, maybe from the Hearts fans and maybe from the other side of the city as well. But I think it was because it was the end of the game. Whereas if it was at the beginning of the game, then Motherwell would have 85 minutes to get back into the game.
Yeah, possibly. But again, it doesn't matter what time it's at. It is a very contentious decision. But again, I don't think somebody actually mentioned it there. I never saw any Celtic player claiming for that. I don't think anyone even saw that. So what has Andrew Dallas seen there that says, "Oh, I need to call the referee over here"? And again, I'm probably going to be wrong on this, but if that's just for example, right? Say that's Motherwell against Kilmarnock. That's not even looked at. But because of the situation and because it's Celtic in a big, big game, that's why that's looked at. I just think it's, again, I'm not gonna keep going into it, but I just think the referees this season have been terrible. But again, I will go back to what I said earlier. There is no justification for anyone posting referees' details online. There's no justification for that. You have to, you've got to kind of screw the nut a little bit and think about these implications because there's no need for it.
Hey, Dave, what about you?
I mean, obviously the Hearts run last weekend. I think maybe the ref's not giving it because enough contact. But at the end of the day, I think it was a penalty. I think it was a clear penalty for me. I think he stands on Kazadira's foot. And I don't know why the ref hasn't given that. That's another missed opportunity for Hearts not to get 3 points. I think maybe the only reason I think the ref's not giving it is because there's not enough contact on it. That's maybe the reason why the ref's not giving it. But at the end of the day, it is a clear penalty. It stands on his foot. You know what I mean? I think obviously people maybe say, oh, maybe Kezadidis made a bit of a melee it, but I think at the end of the day, I think it was possibly a penalty for me. But I think, as Graham said, the refs have been shocking in Scotland this season. There's always been something happening. Then you always got obviously the people in the VAR show apologising, but it's not really going to help anything, you know what I mean? And if tomorrow's game comes into a dodgy decision, I'm going to be fuming. Like if anything goes wrong with VAR and some silly mistakes happen, it's not going to be the best. I hope tomorrow the game just goes whoever plays the best, whoever scores most goals and whoever wins the game fair and square. I don't want to see a VAR decision ruin it for another team. I don't want to see it happening because it will just go in an uproar again. It's just I feel like the refs have just been so bad all season.
The thing is, the referee said to McInnes that yes, there was contact, but not enough contact. And I'm thinking, but you've actually admitted there was contact. So contact means it's a penalty. You look at the one a few weeks ago against Hearts against Kilmarnock. Braga was fouled, but he didn't go down. And everyone said it shouldn't matter. There was contact. It shouldn't matter if he doesn't go down. It's a penalty. It's exactly the same thing. It doesn't matter how much contact there is. If there is contact, it's a foul. So I just find that crazy that wasn't given as a penalty. And again, the handball by Matt, I don't know if it was Matt Manisa, I can't remember. But apparently it wasn't given because it was on the T-shirt line. What? I mean, seriously? Is that what we're doing now? And again, I'm going to say this again, and I've said this before as well. The problem with that handball rule is, and when we did that show months and months ago with the guys from the SVU, I spoke about this. Nobody knows what the handball is anymore. No one's got a clue what handball is anymore. 1 week you'll get it, but then the next week for exactly the same thing it won't be given. And that's the issue. That for me, in the summer, when they have these meetings with referees and players and clubs and stuff, they need to say, this is a handball. This will be the rule from now on. If you do this, that's a handball. Because nobody knows what it is. Honestly, it's ridiculous, this handball rule. And I hate it. And actually, and the thing is, could you imagine tomorrow, this won't happen, by the way, but could you imagine tomorrow that VAR, for some unknown reason, went down and they couldn't fix it? Then what do they do? In a massive game like that, where VAR goes down, what do they do after that if it's a bad decision? Seriously, it's just, again, I keep seeing people, even like English people saying, oh, get rid of VAR and kind of stuff. I will keep saying this till I'm blue in the face. I'm going on a rant now. But I will keep saying this. VAR is not the issue. It is the officials that use it, but don't use it properly and don't know how to use it properly. And as Heidi said there, How many times has Willie Collum done that VAR review show and said, "Oh, we've got that wrong, we've got that wrong"? Why? Are you not training your referees properly? Seriously, is it a training issue? What is it? Because something's wrong somewhere.
I mean, the thing is as well, like, we'll be talking about this in about 10 years' time, VR, because I remember, was it Goldson that two hands on the ball at Ibrox Highgate inside the penalty box? Celtic never got a penalty for that. And to be honest with you, Graham, I don't know what is a handball now, because back in the day, that was an automatic yellow card or a sending off offence. But now it's just a case of handball. Okay, foul, got away
Well,
with
do you
it.
remember-
I mean, you know.
Do you remember months ago at Ibrox? I can't remember who it was, but it was Rangers against Livingston. And Livingston should have had a penalty for a handball by a Rangers player, and it wasn't given.
Mhm.
And everyone's like, that's a handball. And honestly, that, at the time, everyone said, that's a penalty. Like, even Rangers fans were saying, I can't believe that's what we given against us. I mean, seriously, the handball rule needs to get changed. It needs to be said, this is what constitutes a handball from now on, and this is what we go with next season. Because it's getting worse. No one knows what it is. I think it's ridiculous, and it's the worst thing. I don't want to criticise VAR, because the tool is there to help out. But again, we keep going back to this word clear and obvious. But that's not what it's getting used for. And I said this on the rescue thing as well. It doesn't get used for clear and obvious. Honestly, see if you are taking, and I said this weeks ago, if you are taking more than 2 minutes for a VAR decision, it's not clear and obvious. Half these things take 6 minutes. How is that clear and obvious? Honestly, it's getting worse, seriously. I'll be glad when this season's over if we can go back to having a nice summer and then wait again on next season, because it'll be the same again next season.
Yeah, I know exactly. Okay, let's go on to talk about the game. By the way, Heidi, there's a game to talk about tomorrow. Celtic against Hearts at 12:30. But I mean, you must say it's good for Scottish football. But I mean, what about the job? Obviously, we'll come on to Derek McInnes in a minute. But what a job Martin O'Neill has done this season. I mean, he's come in twice and basically saved Celtic.
Oh, 100%. He's done a fantastic job, and if he wins the league, he should get a statue outside Parkhead. Like, he's come in that Celtic team who isn't the greatest, who have been dreadful all season under a man like Wilfred Nancy, for example, who was terrible, who just couldn't get a tune out the players at all. Just system didn't work. Martin O'Neill's come back and saved their season. He's saved our season. He's the reason we're in this title race. He is, him and his coaching staff are the main reason we're up there now, because we haven't lost a game in the split. Like, I honestly was so britting going into split. Like, he's just got that bit about him. He knows what he's doing. And I think the players have gelled a wee bit as well. Like Maeda, who was a bit off form recently, has came back into form, you know. He scored that stunning overhead kick against Rangers, 2 goals against Rangers, like, and obviously scored on Wednesday. So I think he's been an impact player in the split, and I think it's really important to have your key players up for these type of games. But I think he's just done a fantastic job. I just can't thank him enough for everything. You know what I mean? If we win the league, it's going to be absolute mental. Like, the factor, like, the worst Celtic team in 20 years can win a double is mental, because at the start of this, like, near a couple of months ago, I said, nah, I don't think we'll win the league. I just don't think we'll do it. I just don't see it with this team. But how we've done that, I mean, Martin O'Neill's made miracle works on the players. It's if we win the league, it's a miracle. It's been a miracle. The fact that we lost, like, was it 6 out of 8 games under Wilfred Nancy, and we're still we should win a league the Mora. It's mental. It's mental.
Graham, you've got the upper hand over Celtic this season. Celtic's not beat you, but obviously it's going to be a totally different game tomorrow, different atmosphere as well.
Yeah, it will be, but I don't think Hearts should have any fear. You know, we've not lost to Celtic this season. I reckon in the top 6 has actually been very good this season. You know, we've only lost once to Rangers. We've not lost to Celtic. We've not lost to Motherwell. It's been an incredible season so far, and the fact we beat Celtic twice this season, once at Celtic Park already, you know, it will be a tough game. everything right now is, apart from the fact we're a point ahead, everything's in Celtic's favour. They're at home. They've got the fans on their side. But this is a game that Hearts can look forward to. And it's what we do. You know, it's how we set up. I don't think we'll go there and set up for a draw, because I don't think you can do that, because we can't afford to let Celtic, have most of the ball. You know, we have to have an attacking threat going forward. What I would say about something that Jamie said earlier from off the underside, and I love Jamie, he's a really good guy, but what I will say about the away form is, our away form's actually been pretty good this season. We have lost 5 games, yes, all the way from home, but it's been over the course of our season. Our away form's actually been pretty good. You know, we've been to Celtic Park and won, we've been to Ibrox and won, we've been to Easter Road and won. There's been games, yes, we could have done better in. Our first defeat was at Aberdeen away from home, which we should have won. Again, we could go through every game and say we should have done this, should have done that, but our away form over the course of the season has actually been pretty good. It's been sporadic spells that have kind of cost us a little bit. The Livingston game was disappointing. To go 2-1 up and then do nothing for half an hour was disappointing. But I actually think that if anyone can go to Celtic Park and cause problems tomorrow, it is us. You've got Shanklin, you've got Braga, you've got Kesridas, who actually was far better on Wednesday than he's been for weeks. My slight concern, I think Jamie's right about Frankie Kent. I would rather it was Craig Halkett in there. But again, I don't think Hearts should go there with any fear. You know, we know a win or a draw and we win the league. Celtic have to win. If we can frustrate Celtic, keep it 0-0 for as long as possible, the Celtic crowd turn, get on the back, we know that things can change very quickly. But this is a game Hearts can definitely look forward to. And we've got players that can cause them problems. The only thing I would say is Celtic have won 13 out of the last 14 league titles for a reason. They've got experience. They've got a very good manager in there now. They've got guys like McGregor that's been over the line. Maeda's back in form. Nygren's been really good. They do have players that can cause us problems. But so do we. I think Celtic are vulnerable defensively. I can't even remember the last time Celtic kept a clean sheet. And we do score goals. So I think it's set up to be a really, really interesting finale. And I would love Hearts to score first and see what happens in that Celtic crowd. Because that Celtic crowd will turn if Hearts get the first goal.
Yeah, I think the first goal will be crucial tomorrow. Crucial of the week then, but obviously tomorrow. Talk to me about Derek McInnes. I mean, he's done a brilliant job at Hearts this season.
I'm going to say, when he first came in, I liked Derek McInnes as a manager. But when he first came in, I thought, is this going to work? Is it going to be the right fit? Because, you know, certain managers suit certain clubs. And I said, when he first came in, I thought, will he work with the sporting director? He's been incredible. Like, he is a manager that Hearts needed. After what happened last season, which was an absolute disaster, he came in and the very first thing he said was he wanted to make Tynecastle a fortress, a place that teams don't enjoy coming to. And Hearts have gone the whole league season unbeaten at home. So he's ticked that off. He's won games against... I can't mind the last time that Hearts beat Rangers 3 times in a season, beat Hibs 3 times in a season, beat Celtic twice in a season. There's been so many different stories this season. It's been unbelievable. And of course, you need good signings. And that's what Jamestown's done. Clydo Braga came for pennies from Norwegian Second Division. And what a player he has been. Honestly, it's been incredible. And I think he could leave in the summer. But see if you get decent money for him, then fine. This is what Jamestown does. I think the job McInnes has done has been incredible. Thoroughly deserved manager of the year. I think he got the writers manager of the year as well. For a first season, what a job he has done. And Heidi there talks about Martin O'Neill getting a statue. If, and again, it's an if we get over the line tomorrow, Derek McInnes would thoroughly deserve a statue at Tynecastle, because the job he's done has been nothing short of sensational.
Heidi, it's not been the best football Celtic played for many years, but I mean, what do you think what do you think Martin O'Neill has did differently from Wilfried Nancy? Do you think that he's actually kept it simple? You know, and Wilfried Nancy was coming in and trying to change about a lot of things before the game. And by the way, his first game was against Hearts. And I don't know if you saw the interview with Wilfried Nancy, but apparently he was calling Captain Callum McGregor weak.
Yeah, I think with Martin O'Neill, he knows the club inside out. He's been there before. He'd done it already. He got us to a European final. He won us a treble. You know, he knew the club inside out. And I think he's just made it simple. Just go and win. That's all I ask. Go and win in a good performance. Wilfred Nancy made it far too complicated and changed up a formation. He changed to a back three and it just didn't work. I don't think Nancy really had much passion. I think it wasn't the right job for Nancy. I just think Celtic was too big a club for him. And I did obviously, I felt a wee bit sorry for him, He's came in at the deep end. He's came into a game against Hearts, a cup final, European football. Like, it's no, in a derby, it's no the best to come into. You know what I mean? He didn't really have a pre-season. He's not had a good window really at all. You know what I mean? He's not really had time, but I just didn't think Celtic was the right suit for Wilfred Nancy. Whereas Martin O'Neill knew the club, he knows what he's doing. He knows obviously some of the players. He just gets it, and I think with Nancy just didn't get it, and I think that's why it just didn't work out with Nancy. Whereas Martin O'Neill, it's working out. He's grinding out results for that team, whereas Wilfred Nancy couldn't. So I think that's maybe what's different with Martin O'Neill.
Happy to see Alistair Johnson back.
Oh yeah, 100%. He has been a big miss for us this season. Obviously, him getting injured was a bit of a blow. I remember Rodgers started him in a Europa League against Strumgrass, and I says that's a risk because honestly he's just going to get injured, and he did. And it just, we was out for a long time. But having him back's a massive, massive boost to our team. He's such a quality player for us. He's been quality basically majority of the seasons we've had with him. He's been a fantastic football player for us, so it's great to see him back in the team again.
I think you're right, Graham. I think the first goal is going to be Crusoe in this one as well. But I mean, as I always say again, you're probably sick of me saying this now. But if you were going to Parkhead tomorrow or Celtic Park tomorrow, I think that you would have to kick the game in stages because obviously when you think about it, Celtic's got to go for that win, whereas Hearts would just kind of like camp in for like 20 minutes, 25 minutes and get to half time and got silence the fans and see what happens.
I think the game would have been very different tomorrow had that game at Fir Park finished a draw, because Celtic needed to come out and score 4 or 5 to win the league. I think they'd have come out absolutely flying tomorrow, like real on the front foot, trying to get a couple of goals early, put us in the back foot. But because they only need to win, they don't need to win the game in the first 5 minutes. So I think it's important that Hearts stay very compact, defend really well, which is something we have to do. But again, every team in any game, no matter who it is, will have stages where they will have the ball. And it's what Hearts do with it that counts. Because Celtic will have most of the ball. They're at home, I expect that. But when Hearts get the ball, we've got to use it really well. I thought on Wednesday, for the first 10 minutes, we were quite sloppy. Understandably so, because there was a nervousness around the crowd for what could happen. But after that, after the first 10 minutes, I thought Hearts were really good on Wednesday. Completely dominated. When we get the ball, we have to use it. We have to play the ball. We have to get our more important players like Shankland and Bragg on that in the game. And we've got to keep the ball for a spell, because there's no point letting Celtic have the ball for 90 minutes because they will eventually break us down. So it's what we do with the ball that's important. We have to keep it tight for as long as we can. If we can get through the first 10, 15 minutes, because I think Celtic will come out on the front foot. As I said, we've got the crowd behind them. They will be right on it from the first minute. So we have to get through the first 10, 15 minutes unscathed. But I do believe that Hearts can cause problems here. Like every away game that we played recently, yes, maybe it's not been great, but we have actually scored. So I do believe that Hearts can cause problems tomorrow. But we just have to keep it tight for as long as possible. And if we could score the first goal, then the pressure is really on Celtic to then try and come back in that game. But we have to defend well. Like Jamie mentioned Frankie Kemp, we have to defend well. The one thing I'm happy about is that Cammy Devlin's back. I think he is so important for that midfield. He's been such a fantastic player this season. When he was out, it was a blow. Mark Leonard's been good, but I just think Cammy Devlin gives that bit more dig in midfield. So yeah, it's going to be tough. It's going to be very, very difficult. But if we can find a way to win this or draw this, it would be it'd be incredible. It really would be. But I know how tough it's going to be. Going to Celtic Park is not going to be easy.
Okay, let's check out what the manager said. First up, Martin O'Neill. He said, I'm looking forward to the game. We'll try to win the game. The players are ready to go the up front. And yes, he was speaking about that penalty incident on Wednesday night. I don't know if you saw that, Graham, in the press conference, but he basically says everybody wants Hearts to win the league. And Derek McKenna says, I think anytime you go to Celtic Park with your team, you've got to do so much since right there. Tomorrow it is a massive test for us. We need to try and do that, and and everyone will be up for the game. The fans as well as the players. It's been a long time, I think, since both teams would win the title to go head to head. To be honest, I feel for a while. Obviously, when the fixture came out, there's still a lot of football to be played, so you can't really say that at the time, and obviously reasons, but I generally think we will stand ourselves and do good stead for tomorrow. Heidi, I mean, you need to look at Celtic and Hearts closely, because obviously when the games come out, you're like that. Well, will they win all the games, or will they slip up, or whatever? Celtic may have done that on Wednesday night at Fir Park, but I mean, give credit where credit's due to both teams. They've actually got the points, and it sets us up for tomorrow.
It's going to be some game, and I'm really nervous. I've never been this nervous for a football game in my whole time of supporting Celtic. I'm more nervous for this than I am like a derby. Like, genuinely. It's end to end. It's drama. It could go anywhere. And I genuinely think Hearts will be up for it. After obviously a lot of Derek McKenzie wasn't happy with the penalty with us and stuff, I think he'll be up for it. I think Hearts will be very up for it tomorrow. I think it's going to be such a close game, and obviously Hearts can't afford to have a draw. It's just going to be mental. I just don't see how it could go. Or a bit of me goes, I think we'll do it, but then a bit of me goes, I really just think Hearts will just get it over the edge because they know how important it is. They haven't won the league in like over 60 years. They know what it means to the fans. I just generally just think it's going to be some game tomorrow, and it's going to be I want to remember. It generally is. It's just going to be mental.
Okay, time to put the necks on the line, guys, and ask your predictions. I think I know what both of you are going to see here. Or maybe I don't know. Heidi's going to go for Hearts one, and Graham's going to go for Celtic, but no, I'm on okay. So what's your prediction on the game, Heidi, tomorrow between Celtic and Hearts at 12:30?
Going to back my team. I'm going to 2-1 Celtic. I'm going to back my team.
Let's go to the other side of the fence. Graham?
I'm never, ever, ever going to predict my team to lose. So I'm going to go for, I think there'll be goals. I think it's going to be Celtic 2, Hearts 2. And Hearts win the league.
Oh,
I have to back my team to get a result.
Yeah, no, fair comment.
But the one thing I will say though, about nerves, I was more nervous on my wedding day because if my wife didn't turn up, I was screwed. And she probably wishes she hadn't, to be fair. But I was more nervous about that than I am about tomorrow.
I'm sure you weren't as well. I know that I would get ate the food if it went to waste anyway, Graham. But
that would never go to waste, mate. Not when I'm there. No chance.
Yeah, no, exactly. But I like pine beans myself, so you know. Anyway, so that is the talk of the big game tomorrow. Celtic against Hearts, 12:30, Celtic Park, all the rest of it. Yeah, so there you go. Let's talk about some meaningless games tomorrow. By the way, that's a joke. No, they're not meaningless games, and that's easy for me to say in the flag night. Falkirk against Rangers, and all the talk is about James Tavernier issuing a statement and all that kind of thing. It's funny, Graham, like years ago, people would phone people up. Now it's like, I'm going to blackmail you over emails and all that, back in the day when people used to phone people, remember that? That was years ago now. But yeah, Heidi, what about what's been going on at Ibrox since the last couple of weeks? I mean, it's hard to believe that Rangers hasn't won a game in the split.
It's mad to think. Obviously, coming into this, it was a freeway. You know what I mean? It's a freeway title race. Obviously, it just depends how both the three teams got on in the split. But I just generally think it's mental to think they've lost 4 games in a row. It's mad. And after obviously Wednesday night against Hibs, it was obviously, frustrating. And obviously the situation with James Tavernier, I think as your captain who's been, captain for many years, should be starting and should get his final send off that he deserves. He's been a great 7 foot Rangers over 11 years. He scored like a lot of goals and made a lot of appearances for the club. He's done a lot. Obviously maybe he's just not been much in success wise, but in the terms of like turning up for Rangers, I think he's been a great captain. There's no getting away from that, but I just think Rangers have just not been at it, and obviously a lot of fans are calling for Danny Rowe's head. I know they want him out because he hasn't done it in the split, but you look where they were under Russell Martin, they were right down near the bottom 6. They just didn't look up for it, and then they're only back in a title race. And then I think when pressure gets the Rangers, you just can't handle it, and they just seem to slip away at times. But it's not looking great for Rangers, and I think against Falkirk, who are obviously secured top 6 anyway, I think it's a game where it's not really going to mean much. Obviously, if Rangers win, they win, but it's not going to mean much. And I think it's just one of those where it's just mad to think that Rangers have just fell off this quickly in terms of the split where they were doing all right in the league. It's just mad.
Yeah, that's a good point that you've made, Heidi, because Graham, the last time Rangers Falkirk, the one, what was it, 6-2 or something like that? 6-3, yeah. And you thought that the momentum was with Rangers to win the title or be up there with Hearts. And obviously people were writing off Celtic at that point in time. But I mean, Rangers has just fell off a cliff. I don't know what's happened. And like I don't know if they'll probably set a new record for them tomorrow if they get beat in the game as well. So it's quite interesting. And then you've got James Tavernier, and then you've got the fans turning on Danny Rowe. By the way, a few weeks ago, the fans were singing Danny Rowe's name, but now they want him out. So it's bonkers.
It's funny how quickly football can change, isn't it? Because actually, you mentioned that 6-3 game against Falkirk, and you're talking about momentum, and rightly so, because at that point, when they came back from 2-0 down and got that 6-3 win, I actually thought, that's not a good sign. They have momentum now. They could actually do this. And the last few weeks has been horrendous for them. Like, they've completely fallen off. I think they've lost every game after the split, which is crazy. And they can't play for 90 minutes. Like, they seem to be a 45-minute team. They came to Tynecastle. First half, I thought they were really good. I thought they completely dominated us. We just didn't do anything right. And then second half, when we made that change at half-time to bring Blair Spittle on and change the formation, we completely dominated second half and they had no answer. It's like, I don't know. Again, Danny Rowe came in and took over from Russell Martin, which was just a disaster, as we know, a bit like Wilfred Nancy was. And he got a tune at them for a little bit. But I never actually thought they were a particularly great side. Like, yes, they were getting results, but they were never actually particularly amazing. And it just seems to be that you are now seeing, it doesn't look for me like Danny Rowe's a particularly great manager. He managed Sheffield Wednesday, who were in real financial trouble. He's come to a big club like Rangers, and the last few weeks has been an absolute disaster. Like, obviously, because I was watching the Hearts game on Wednesday, I completely forgot Rangers were playing Hibs. I didn't realise until the next day that they'd lost. And it's like, another game they've got beat. It's just been one disaster after another for them. And they've got, the question they've got now is, what do they do in the summer? Because that's another massive rebuild they're going to have, because they'll lose players. They'll have to bring players in. Will they trust Danny Roll to bring in the right players? Will they give him money to spend? It's been horrendous. Like, the thing is, with Hearts, whatever happens tomorrow, we've split the old firm. We know we've got guaranteed Champions League qualifiers. Rangers don't have that. So honestly, it's been an absolute shocker. And then that whole James Tavernier stuff, for a guy that has been such a good servant to Rangers to go out the way that he has, is another shocker. So the last few weeks has been an absolute nightmare. And honestly, I don't know where Rangers go for here. You mentioned it there. A few weeks ago, Rangers fans were singing Danny Rowe. Now they want him out. Honestly, it's just been such a spectacular fall from grace. And no matter what happens tomorrow, it doesn't really matter. But it's been horrendous for Rangers this season. Absolutely horrendous.
Hey, they're talking about Daniel out changing the manager, but I know that we live in the age where, like, you know, like, if you don't win 4 games, you're out your door. Sorry that you're out the door, but I think for me, this kind of runs more deeper upstairs to like the boardroom, to the 49ers and all the rest of it. And also I would maybe say, I don't know if you would agree with me, Heidi and Graham here, but I think this goes deeper than what went on before. And I think Rangers hasn't fully recovered from administration.
On you go, Heidi.
Yeah, I mean, it's just mental to say that obviously fans want him out, but I just think that fans need to give him time. I think he needs a summer window. He came in October. I think fans need to give Roll time. I think obviously it does rely on the board as well, because Andrew Kavanagh and obviously Kevin Fairwell, they appointed Russell Martin. It was them that appointed Russell Martin. So if Danny Rowe ends up leaving or getting sacked, they're going to appoint another manager. And what if he turns out to be a failure? You know what I mean? It's just mad to think like how Rangers haven't really won a league title since for about 5-6 years now. It's just crazy to think, and I think it's just mad to think if the board end up getting rid of Danny Rowe, who are they going to bring in next? You know what I mean? Who's going to be the right man to step up and actually know what it actually means to manage Rangers? Like, who's going to like forward that team? You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of players in that Rangers team who aren't the best, and obviously a lot of Rangers players who could be leaving next season. So it's just mental. It's mad.
The thing is, they can't say that Rowe wasn't backed, because he spent £40 million in January. And could you actually look through the players that he signed and say that any of them have been a particular success? I don't think they have been. Scott Olsen's been horrific. Majowski, I don't think's really worked out that well. Nadiri hasn't really played that well. Not very many signings have been particularly great. And I'm going to say this now. I'll get clipped for this. But I'm going to say this now. I honestly believe, and Rangers fans will come up with for this, I honestly think Nico Raskin is one of the most overrated players in that league. He does not dominate a game. I don't know what that guy does. And for some reason, he seems to be loved by Rangers fans. I've seen nothing of that guy that says, this guy's going to take it to the next level. I just don't see it. The Chermiti's been, again, he's such a weird player, Chermiti, because there's some games he's looked amazing, other games he's looked horrendous. I thought for the first half against Celtic a couple of weeks ago, or last week, I thought he was brilliant, trusty. And then second half, nothing. He's such a weird player. So yeah, it's been an absolute disaster. And again, they'll give money to spend in the summer. But if they start next season poorly, then what happens? It's been an absolute shocker for Rangers. Like, everyone probably thought, as I did as well, it'd be Celtic and Rangers this season fighting for the title. Nobody thought about Hearts. And the fact that Rangers have completely fallen off the last few weeks, I think I'm sure I saw this on Wednesday, but I think Danny Rowe walked up to the Union Bears after the game to talk with them. Now, I don't know what he said, obviously, but clearly there's a lack of trust there with the fans towards Danny Rowe now. Like, I've seen a lot of Rangers, prominent Rangers fans now that were backing Roll are now saying, no, get rid of him. But again, it's another rebuild. Can you afford to sack another manager? And again, going back to Celtic a little bit as well, I've talked about, I think Hearts will get better and better. Celtic will rebuild in the summer as well, because Martin O'Neill won't be there next season. So who does Celtic bring in? What players do they bring in? You look at Rangers now as well. I honestly think Hearts can go again next season. Not going to say we're going to win the league, but I think we've got a chance to be up there again next season, because both Celtic and Rangers need to rebuild again. I don't think we do.
I think that's a good point Glenn makes here, right, Heidi, as well, because obviously no matter what happens tomorrow, both sides will invest in their teams next season, while Rangers are fighting over, will Danny Rose stay? Will it be another rebuild? I mean, how many times have you heard Rangers fans coming out in different platforms, radio stations, TV and all that, saying that we need a new rebuild?
Yeah, I think obviously if they did get rid of Dyer and get a new rebuild, like, it's going to be more money. You know what I mean? Can they actually afford that with the amount of money they spent in January? I'm sure they spent over about 40 million. Like, that's a lot of money for this league. It's a lot. And a lot of the players haven't really been the best for them at all. And I think as well, like, you look at us as well, like, we need to hunt for a new manager. We need to hunt for a manager who's going to have to bring in his own players, what players he wants, what players he wants to get out the door. Like, we need a rebuild as well. And obviously, you look at Hearts, they're in a much better position because they've got a manager who's on a contract. They've got players who are fantastic signings. Obviously, maybe might some of them go in the sun, but they've got good backers behind them. With Celtic and Rangers, obviously Celtic fans have had their share about the board recently. In previous times, obviously Rangers fans had their say about Fairwell. It's just mad to think that Celtic and whatever happens, Celtic need to rebuild and get a manager. Rangers, if they got rid of Roll, they would. What happens is a new rebuild again. Like, it's a lot of money, and it's mad. It really is.
Just on Paul's point about European football there, we're not guaranteed group stage football. We have to play, to get into the Champions League, we'd have to play 3 qualifying rounds. Even if we lose one of them, we go into Europa League qualifiers. We're not guaranteed to get group stage football. So we could be at Europe quite quickly, which would then solve that problem. I don't want to be, but we're not guaranteed group stage football next season. So that might not really matter.
Falkirk's had a decent season, Graham, and obviously you saw them Wednesday night, but I mean, I just think they've kind of fell short after the split because they've not picked up a lot of wins during that split. But I mean, nevertheless, like, they've had a brilliant season under John McGlynn, and I'm just, I don't know if you saw today that Falkirk, I mean, I knew this was going to happen, but Falkirk has turned down a 7-figure offer from West Bromwich Albion in Barney Stewart.
Fair play to them, because I think it's high time that Scottish clubs got the best value for their players. I think we sell players far too cheaply. I think most teams do that in Scotland. We need to get better value for these players. There's been so many stories this season, obviously Hearts and Motherwell, but Falkirk have been one of them. To get top 6 finish, I think they've been fantastic this season. I think the job John McGlynn done has been incredible. Like, Barney Stewart came from university football to be an absolute standout this season. Calvin Miller's been quality. Dylan Tate's been quality. They've been absolutely fantastic this season. To get top 6, I think it's an incredible achievement. And actually, they play some good football as well. Like, everyone said that Motherwell played the best football this season, which I do agree with, but Falkirk have played some really good stuff. And I honestly think McGlynn has done a fantastic job. And I think if it can keep the core of that team together next season, they could do it again. But honestly, what a job they've done this season. Wednesday night was difficult for them because obviously it was mainly about Hearts. And I thought for the first 10 minutes, Falkirk were really good. But after that, Hearts kind of blew them away. But yeah, the job McGlynn's done has been fantastic. And I said months and months ago that I actually thought before, obviously the Aberdeen thing came about, I thought McGlynn would probably got a bigger club in Falkirk. No disrespect to Falkirk. But I think the job he's done has been fantastic. And I don't think McGlynn will be at Falkirk much longer. I think he stocks higher than that, given what he's done this season. and over the last couple of seasons as well. So yeah, fantastic job, and fair play for turning down that money, because you need to get teams in Scotland have got to get better value for their players, and that's something I think Hearts will do now with the whole Jamestown stuff. And so fair play to them.
Yeah, hi Dave. What do you think? I mean, obviously you can go through the whole league this season. There's been stories everywhere. Celtic, Hearts, even Motherwell. We're going to talk about in a minute or two. But I mean, Falkirk as well. First season back up in the top six.
Oh, they've been outstanding all season. I didn't see them getting relegated, but I didn't see them finish in sixth. What a job McGlynn has done, and some of the players have been outstanding, like Barney Stewart, the likes of Scott Bain, the likes of, they've got such, decent players, and the likes of Calvin Miller as well, you know what I mean? They have got decent young players in their squad, and I think they've shown that this season. Obviously in the split, they've kind of, haven't had the best run in the split recently, they haven't been great, but you look at if they finish in sixth, a Falkirk fan, they would have bit your hand off for that. They wouldn't think they would finish sixth this season. It's been an incredible season. Look, from League One to Championship to Premiership, when you're in the top six, it is incredible. It's been an incredible season for them. Obviously, it's obviously going to be disappointing. Obviously, knocked out the cup as well to the rivals isn't going to be the nicest. But I think in terms of John McGlynn, obviously, what a bigger club, maybe going in for him. I was actually speaking to a Falkirk fan, and he was saying he's feared that McGlynn might go to Celtic, but because obviously he was a scout, but I says we'll just see what happens. But obviously, I think McGlynn obviously will be tipped for a bigger job, just in terms of obviously how well he's done at Falkirk. But obviously, if he did got a big job, and then obviously he maybe lost a couple of games, and maybe the pressure might be on him. You know what I mean? It's happened before with previous managers, but you've got to say Falkirk's been incredible. They've been a joy to watch this season. They have obviously, like, they've gave us a tough time recently. They have gave us a tough time. Obviously, maybe we have been unbeaten against them, but they have gave us a tough time at times. They are a good side. They're well organised, and I think they've shown a great quality and a great standard for the league this season.
Here's a question for you. Tuesday, Steve Clarke picks his final Scotland squad. Is Barney Stewart in with a wild card chance of being in that Scotland squad? Because I personally think he should be.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, I think he should definitely be a name. I think that he's been an outstanding young player for Falkirk this season, and I generally think Steve Clarke should be looking at young talent in the league, and he's one of them. So yeah, definitely.
And don't forget that we'll be doing a special show on Tuesday. Thanks for setting me up there, Graham. We're doing a special show on Tuesday looking at the squad as well. So check out the Scottish Football Zone.
I wasn't invited on that. Where was my invite for that?
Okay, well, you can come on now. I think the only thing I would say in my defence is, we maybe said to you, but we don't know the time yet. So watch out for the Scottish Football Zone. Will be on Tuesday night. Graham McGlynn for Scotland, Paul says.
I wouldn't be against it, but I've kind of said for a while that I think if Steve Clarke goes, I kind of think McInnes might be in for that. I've genuinely said for a while, I think the only job McInnes leaves for is Scotland. I just think it suits him. But I wouldn't be against McGlynn. And again, we don't know yet what's going to happen with Steve Clarke. He said weeks ago that he's not yet been offered a contract. And I just wonder if the SFA are waiting to see what happens after the World Cup to see how far we get before they say, right, we're going to give you a new contract. So that might be in the pipeline. I don't know. But yeah, we'll see what happens. But McGlynn, I wouldn't be against that. I think he'd play a really good brand of football. I think he'd bring younger guys in. So yeah, if that was to happen, I wouldn't be against it. But I kind of think it might be McInnes. I hope he doesn't leave Hearts, but I kind of think it could be.
By the way, I'm not making this up, but I've just realised it's Monday night, not Tuesday night, that we're doing the show as well. So there you go. It's last word goes to Heidi on this game, but it's a sad end to James Tavernier's career at Rangers.
Yeah, it is. I mean, if they lose tomorrow, 5 games in a row, and that's the send off Tavernier gets for his final 5 games, isn't the best for him. It's not the greatest. He's obviously at the start of the split, he wanted to try and win a league title for Rangers. He wanted to try and win silverware for the end of the season. You know what I mean? And that it just hasn't happened for him. And Tavernier has really been quite unsuccessful in the past few years at Rangers. Obviously he did win the league at COVID, and obviously I think he's won a couple of cups. But other than that, he hasn't really been much success, and it's a bit of, considering the amount of goals and the amount of appearances he's had for Rangers, he's been a outstanding captain. It's just been, it has been great. I think it's been the players around him hasn't helped him either, and I think he's had some really not the best players in front of him just to, But I think as well, I think it's just going to not be the best if they lose tomorrow. It's going to be not the best for a send off for Tavernier. But I think at the end of the day, what he's done for Rangers and stuff has been incredible. You know what I mean? But yeah.
But we get just to let you know, James Tavernier has played his last game for Rangers, Graham, because he won't be in the squad tomorrow. Daniel said this morning that he's away for an injection. Yeah, his last game was against Celtic last Sunday as well. Daniel said today it's been a roller coaster of emotions. I need to make big decisions. So I don't know what that means, Graham. In terms of big decisions for himself, or big decisions as in bringing new players in. We will watch this space. Talking about Ibrox, the Hibs fans really enjoyed themselves on Wednesday night. I don't know if you saw the video of the Hibs fans cheering when the Hearts game finished, and obviously the Celtic game.
I did. Do you know what? I don't have a problem with that. It's a rivalry. I'd be exactly the same. Like, if Hibs are going for a title race, I don't want them to lose as well. So I have no issue with that at all. It's banter. It's rivalry. It was quite funny. But the thing is, I was thinking this earlier on today, right? I would be quite envious. Like, if this was Hibs or Aberdeen or Dundee United in a title race, I'd be quite envious of that. Because I'd be thinking, that's what I want. So as much as it is banter, I'd be envious that we're the ones that are chancing for a title and they're not. That's where I am with that. But it's fair play to Hibs fans. I don't mind that at all.
Hey Dave, what about you? Did you see the video of the at the corner bit of Ibrox where the Hibs fans celebrated?
Yeah, I mean, fair play, you know what I mean? It is banter, it's rivalry, it's going to happen, you know what I mean? And I don't mind it at all. Obviously, we'd probably do the same, so, you know what I mean? It's a win-win situation, but I think, yeah, it is banter, it's just rivalry, it's what fans do.
What about the game tomorrow, Graham? It's going to add a bit of spice into the game because of obviously Hibs got a brilliant win on Wednesday night, but also Motherwell was a penalty incident at the end of the game.
Yeah, I mean, Motherwell haven't quite wrapped up European qualification yet, so it's a tough game. But I mean, they'll have that bit of kind of sense of injustice about that penalty. I thought, obviously, I didn't watch the game because I was watching the Hearts game at the time. But the highlights that I saw, I thought Motherwell were actually pretty decent, played some decent stuff, managed to get a couple of goals, but it's such a tough game. I mean, the Hibs, they've had a really weird season. Like, over the course of the season, I've heard a lot of Hibs fans saying David Gray out, David Gray out. And I think that's just been intensified by the fact that Hearts are where we are. If that wasn't the case, I don't think it would matter so much. So it's a very tough game. I mean, right now, if I'm looking at kind of the form, Hibs getting that win at Ibrox on Wednesday, fair play to them. This could go either way. Like, generally, it could. I think Motherwell have that sense of justice, though. So I wouldn't be surprised if Motherwell went there and won, but I wouldn't be surprised if Hibs won either, because they're in decent form. And of course, I think Hibs' last game, this is the last game, isn't it? This is Martin Boyle's last game. This is Martin Boyle's last game for Hibs as well. He wanted to go on a high. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. This could generally go either way, but I don't know if it's because it's at home. I'd probably maybe tip Hibs just because of home advantage and Martin Boyle's last game, but it could go either way.
Do you think that if Martin Boyle scores tomorrow, he'll do the James Cavalier celebration?
Oh, I did see a video of him doing that. I don't know. I don't know, but I think in terms of Hibs and Motherwell, they're fighting for European places, They're obviously wanting to get in Europe for a bit of money in the league, and I think it will bounce up the league as well if any of them two are in Europe. It's a great achievement, Motherwell has been outstanding all season. Everyone said it all season. The football they play is great. It's a great to watch. Like even against us on Wednesday, I thought they were great. I thought they caused us a few problems at times. Like we just left them so open for a space, and I feel like they had the ball when they were going forward. Just felt like they were going to create chances and score. And I think Jens Velasquez done a great job at Motherwell. If they get Europe, it's a fantastic achievement. Fourth place in Europe, been a brilliant season. Obviously, it's maybe disappointing. A few results have not went away, but at the end of the day, I mean, it's been a brilliant season for Motherwell. I didn't think they'd be top four this season in terms, obviously, of how poor they were last season. But the players they've brought in and what the job Asco's done has just been incredible. Obviously, you look at Hibs. It'll be Boyle's last game. He'll want to try and make it good for himself. You know what I mean? Obviously, probably getting the score sheet, and obviously, hopefully, Hibs win and try and get Europe. And obviously, you look at Hibs fans, kind of David Grell. I think maybe they're saying that just because the way Hearts are. I think obviously if maybe Hearts weren't there, I think they'd be probably they might be saying it, but I think because our rivals were in the league, they just don't want it to happen. But I think in terms of Gray, I think he's done a great job at Hibs. I think you look at last season, they were near bottom of the league and they got into the top. I think they finished third or fourth last season. Like it's mad to think that they were near the bottom and they finished third or fourth. I think it was third. I can't mind, but I think they finished third last season. Like it's just mad. And to think now they can get Europe. I mean, it's just. I think Gray's done an excellent job at Hibs, and I think some of the new players we've brought in have made a difference. But that's a close game tomorrow. We'll see how obviously that goes, but it's going to be tight in terms of who's going to grab that European spot.
I mean, I was saying about stories of the season, Graham. Like, obviously, Martin O'Neill's done at Celtic. Derek McInnes has done a brilliant job at Hearts. Falkirk and Betty at Arsenal at Motherwell, brilliant job. But the big question is, will we stay?
It's a tough one. I think a lot of folk think he's going to be at Celtic next season. I can understand that. The way that he plays, the style of football he's got would suit Celtic, but will he maybe think he's still got a job to do at Motherwell? What he's done with that Motherwell squad has been nothing short of incredible. Like, you look at guys like Stephen O'Donnell, who's been incredible this season. Honestly, the job he's done with him. Guys like McGinn as well. And the players that he's brought in, like Elijah Just, I knew nothing about this guy at the start of the season, but what a player he is. Mas Manise, top scorer in Scotland, I think, still at the moment. He's just been fantastic for Motherwell. And the football he's played this season has rightly got a lot of credit. They've played some unbelievable stuff. One of the best teams I've seen at Tynecastle in a long time. But I think if he gets a decent offer, again, money talks. Motherwell fans will be hoping he stays. Again, I've seen a lot of Motherwell fans online saying this is the best they've ever seen Motherwell play. Understandably so. What a job he's done. But I think if Celtic were to come in and say, look, we want to talk to you, it's difficult to turn down. That would be such a difficult thing for him to turn down. So we'll have to see what happens. But there's a lot of people saying that Robbie Keane for Celtic. Again, I don't know how that would work out. But yeah, the job Bartholomew has done has been nothing short of fantastic. One of the best Motherwell teams I think anyone has seen for a long time. It's risk and reward. The way they play, playing out for the back, they do get caught a few times, but seriously, see when it works, it's stunning football. It really is. They've been a joy to watch this season. But if Celtic do come calling, it might be hard to turn that down.
See, when you're saying about the best Motherwell team you've seen for seasons, Graham, would you go back to the 90s when John Spencer was in the Motherwell team?
Yeah, probably. I mean, that was a pretty decent. They had like John Spencer, guys like Dougie Arnott and stuff. Motherwell have had really good sides over the last few years, but this is probably the best it's been. And like I said, you look at the job he's done with more experienced players like O'Donnell and guys like McGinn. He's got them playing like inverted fullbacks that want to get forward and pass the ball out for the back, which you would never have seen from these guys before. So the job is done. That takes a lot of training. That takes a lot of hard work. You know, when you go into a new club, no matter who it is, it can take time to implement your ideas. But what he's done has been fantastic. And fair play to him. Like, honestly, I really wish that Motherwell had managed to stay in the title race for a bit longer. But they were all, I think they were going to fall off at some point. But even on Wednesday, you know, they kept themselves in it. They've been denied by that late penalty. But again, they played some decent stuff. They are such a good footballing side. The worry, I think, for Motherwell would be that they may lose some of these players, like Mash Manise, like Elijah Just, like Elliot Watt. Teams will be looking at these guys thinking, we actually want these guys. So that might be the difficulty. But if they can keep this squad together and then build on that, they could be out there again next season. Honestly, the job he's done has been fantastic. And fair play to
him. Exactly. Okay, let's go on to the bottom six now. The final games are on Sunday as well. Dundee against Aberdeen, Graham. I think what you would say is a decent season for Dundee under the leadership of Stephen Presley. Aberdeen, very disappointing again.
Yeah, I'll hold my hands up like a lot of folk have done. I genuinely thought at the start of the season Dundee were going down. I just did not see Stephen Presley surviving. He's out-survived a lot of managers this season. Fair play. He's done a really good job. He's got the best out of that Dundee side. You know, they lost one of their best players on Luke McKimmon to Celtic. They lost a lot of decent players as well. The job he's done has been fantastic. You can't take away from him. Because I genuinely thought they were going to struggle this season. You know, he said himself when he came in, which I kind of criticised at the time when he said, if you want a manager to win things, that's not me, which was a bit of a bizarre thing to say. But fair play to him. Like, he's really turned that Dundee side around. And I think, obviously, start of the season, the big thing would have been to stay up, and he's done that. So fair play to Stephen Presley. You know, absolutely massive respect to him. For Aberdeen, it's been horrendous. Like, it's been an absolute shocker of a season. Winning the Scottish Cup last season was fantastic. Don't get me wrong. You know, the manager kind of a bit up and down. But this season has been nothing short of a massive failure. You know, Wednesday night getting beat by St Mirren at home, it's been awful. Like, Stephen Robinson's going to have to get time. You know, we talk about Danny Rowe needing time and stuff, but Stephen Robinson's going to need time to rebuild that squad. Look at what he needs to do in the summer. He won't be happy with what he's got in that squad because too many players there just don't look good enough and don't look up for the fight. They're kind of fortunate that after the split, they managed to win their first couple of games to get themselves out of it. Because at one point, they looked in serious trouble. But that squad just looks like it needs ripped up and started again. But yeah, for Aberdeen, it's been an absolutely shocking season on the back of winning that Scottish Cup. Because I thought having won the Cup, they would come back this season and be right, we've won the Cup, we're going to be really good this season. They've been awful. Absolutely terrible. The football they play has not been great. Yes, they've had a few decent results, but an Aberdeen side, a bit like Hearts last season, an Aberdeen side should not be in the position they're in. They're a big, big club, and they've not acted like it this season. So Robinson's got a big season ahead of him next season. I think he'll get it right. He's a good manager. He's going to have to bring in his own players, but honestly, they've been nothing short of embarrassing this season.
Paul Donaldson makes a comment in the chat, in the comments, Heidi, about it's going to be a big summer for Aberdeen. But Graham's right. I mean, Aberdeen should never be in the bottom six because they're a big club, a big city, big fan base. I've been saying for a few weeks, and maybe I'm totally wrong with this comment, Paul, you can let me know in the chat, but Heidi and Graham, I think Aberdeen is one of these kind of you would say sleeping giants in football.
Yeah, Aberdeen shot them down. Like, after the beat us in the Scottish Cup last season, I thought, you know, they're going to improve, they're going to be better. Obviously, sacking Talene, which I felt was a bit wrong. I think, and obviously had a bit poor results in the past, but he won them a Scottish Cup after, 30 odd years or something. But I think in terms of like, you look at even them last season, they were challenging for, for a second place. Everybody was talking about them last season, going, "Oh, look at them, they're doing really well. Could they finish second this season? Could they overtake Rangers and Celtic?" You know what I mean? Everyone was talking about them last season, and this season's just been it's been dreadful for them. It hasn't been the greatest moment for Aberdeen this season. Obviously, sack Tilleen, bring Robson in, which obviously St Mirren fans would be quite really devastated, one of their best managers. He's come in, he's done all right, he's picked up a few results, the out of relegation spot. But a club like Aberdeen should never be bottom six. They should be a top six club or a top four club. They should never be the position they are in now. And it's just been it has been an awful season for Aberdeen. They need to rebuild. Obviously, Robson will have to bring his own players. It's been an awful season to be Aberdeen, especially a club that size.
Graham, Stephen Robertson to Aberdeen. What's your opinion on this? I think it was not a weird appointment, but a weird time in the season.
Yeah, I said this weeks ago on the podcast that I did with you guys. I think the appointment, fine. I think Robertson's a good manager. But I think Aberdeen panicked after that Dunfermline game when they got beat in the cup. And I think they thought we have to do something. Because I don't think Robertson's there if that doesn't happen. I think they panicked. I think they thought we have to try and bring somebody in. And they've gone for Robinson, which again, I don't mind the appointment because he's a good manager. He'll do a good job. But the timing of it for me was a very, very strange one. But again, I suppose you could say it's work because he's kept them up. But he's got a lot of decisions to make in the summer because too many of those Aberdeen players do not look like Aberdeen players. They've got too many really poor players in that team that don't look up for a fight. And again, this is something I said a few weeks ago as well. It's really weird, again, how football works because you never, ever see Hearts, Aberdeen and Hibs having a good season at the same time. There's always one or two of us that falls away. You need a strong Aberdeen. You need a strong Hibs to compete in this league. And Aberdeen have been awful this season. But I do think Robertson will get it right. I think he'll look at the summer, look at the players they have to bring in, whether he goes back to some of the St Mirren players that he had previously that worked under him, maybe guys like Alec Gogic and guys like that. I don't know. But I think he'll get it right. I just think the timing of it didn't sit right with me, and I think it's that Dunfermline game that did it. Because I think if they didn't lose that game, I'm not sure Robertson's in charge right now.
It's like we are obviously we're going to speak about St Mirren, but if you look at the two clubs in isolation, St Mirren and Aberdeen, they may as well not winning in the cups because that's just done the opposite effect on them because they won the cups. But ever since that, they've went miles back the way.
Yeah. Ever since St Mirren beat us in the League Cup final, they've just been off it. And now St Mirren found themselves in the relegation playoff that we either played Dunfermline or Partick tonight. It's just been mental to think that St Mirren have been a top six club for a few years now, and obviously they were in Europe a few years ago now, could get relegated. It's mad to think, and obviously same with Aberdeen, won the Scottish Cup last season, and they've just fell off a cliff. Like as Graham said, I think if they didn't lose Dunfermline, I don't think they would have appointed him. I think it's been a panic because they're worried that Peter Levine would have probably done a lot worse. That's where they thought, we're going to appoint a manager, somebody that knows Scottish football. Because I was quite shocked he went to Aberdeen. Obviously, I know Robson was obviously going to get tipped for a big job. There was no question about how well he done with St Mirren. Top six finishes like consecutively. Won a League Cup. Obviously, he was going to get tipped for a big job. But how quick it happened, I think if Aberdeen should have maybe waited to the summer. But I think if waiting to the summer might have been too long. But I think now Robertson knows that he needs to get his own players in, needs to try and sort out that squad, change it up, and see what happens, goes for there. But yeah, the two of them have failed down since they've won the cup. Definitely.
I think the last two games that we're going to talk about, Graham, is obviously St Mirren, Dundee United, and Livingston come out. No disrespect to the fans because the fans will appear in both of the games, but I just feel as though, especially that Livingston Command game is really a dead rubber.
I mean, they all are, to be honest. But I mean, Livingston, it was always likely to happen. They were always going to go down. I think, to be fair, Marvin Bartley did a decent job when he was there. I think maybe I'd appointed them earlier. They could have got out of it. But again, they gave themselves a fighting chance up until the last couple of weeks. And they have played some decent stuff. You know, they've taken some big points. They took points off Rangers, 2 points off Hearts. They have been difficult to beat, but it's just not been enough. You know, I think he's done a decent job. I'm surprised that he's kind of now stepped down. I thought he might have kept the job in the Championship, but he said no. Who they bring in now, I don't know. I think in terms of Kilmarnock, though, again, another thing I thought, I didn't think McCann would do a good job there. And again, he's proved me wrong. He's kept them up. And fair play to him. I think what Kilmarnock have done really well is with Finlay Curtis. I think Finlay Curtis has been fantastic. And again, another player I think should be in that Scotland squad. He's been fantastic. So fair play to Killie. You know, they've kept themselves up, kept themselves safe. That was a big win in midweek for them. So yeah, I think the job Neil McCann's done has been very good. But again, he's going to have to rebuild in the summer, see who he can bring in, maybe let go of a few of those players that have not been quite good enough. I think Livingston, I say this all the time, but the Championship for me is the best league in Scotland. It's the most competitive. I think Livingston might find it hard to come straight back up because the teams that are in there. But yeah, it's been a very difficult season for both of them. But for Kilmarnock, if you're a Kilmarnock fan, you're just happy that you're staying up and you're not in that playoff. Because I've said this before, whoever finishes in that playoff place, whether it's Partick Thistle or Dunfermline tonight, you will fancy your chances against St Mirren. Because right now, St Mirren have got no momentum behind them. So I think you'll fancy your chances in that. And Kilmarnock don't want to be part of that.
I think this next season, am I right about the Plavgate Parks? Heidi, am I right with that one? No.
I think as the next season, I think I heard that they were meant to get rid of them. If you were staying in the top flight, the clubs who had plastic pitches were told to get rid of them. So I think Kilmarnock, I think maybe Falkirk will have new pitches next season, I believe. But I think, yeah, I think I did obviously hear about that at the start of the season. They were told that if you had a plastic pitch, you had to get rid of it.
Heidi, both of the teams would be happy that the season's finishing on Sunday. Livingston and Kilmarnock. Of course, Livingston is going back down to the Championship, and Kilmarnock got a win on Tuesday night against Wednesday night against Dundee to stay up in the Premiership next season.
Yeah, I think Neil McCann has done a great job at Kilmarnock. I think, you know, they're picking up wins at the split times of they're getting, you know, points on the board, and I think it's really important for them as if they wanted to stay up, and I think they've done that. You know, they've had a lot of free goal thrillers recently, and I think it's really important for them. They've got the job done when they've needed to. I think in the last 3 games they've scored 9 goals, which is it's great. It's great to see that, and I think for the club like Kilmarnock, you know, they've had so much success previously. You know, under Clark, they've Europe. You know, they've been in the top 4. You know, they've obviously under the McInnes as well. They've been in. You know, they've done great, and I think this season, I think the fans were just happy as long as they stayed up, and they've done that. And the likes of Livingston, you know, it's just for Livingston, it doesn't mean anything. They're just really playing for pride for their last game in the Premiership. Obviously, with Bartley leaving as well, Livingston will need to go and hunt for a new manager, whoever that will be. Obviously, they'll need to boost up in the Championship. Obviously, they're going to come back up straight away. Are they going to be in the Championship for a wee while? We'll obviously need to wait and see. But I think in terms of that game, I think it doesn't really mean much for both teams because obviously Killie's safe and Livingston's down. So I think it's just one of them games. It's just get it out the road, get it done with, and then just see what happens next season for both clubs.
Graham, if I said to you, St Mirren will win the League Cup, beat Celtic, and also be in relegation battle at the bottom and be in the playoff, I think you would tell me to get on my bike and go to the nearest hospital. But I mean, that's what's really happened. Well, not in the hospital as of yet. But I mean, it's weird. I mean, that's how I was saying to Heidi. Aberdeen won the cup. They went back the way. St Mirren's won the cup and went back the way, and now they're fighting for their lives at the bottom.
See, just don't win cups and this won't happen.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
just been, nobody could have seen this coming. And actually, I joked with Robbie months and months ago, like, would you take winning the cup if you went down? And I think at one point maybe said yes. I didn't actually think that was going to be true. But what a horrendous season it's been in terms of the league campaign. Like the cup, fair play to them. No one can take that away from them. Absolutely fantastic in the cup, brilliant. But the league has been horrendous for them. Like they've been so poor. And again, you know, the whole Robinson thing, leaving at the time he did, that obviously had an impact. Craig McLeish came in, young, inexperienced coach. At the start, it worked. But now you're seeing the inexperience he's got. And it all goes back to me to that Celtic game in the cup. You were right. You were 2-0 down. You come back to get 2-2. You're in the ascendancy, looking like you're going to win it. And then a mental 6 minutes, they lost 4 goals and got hammered. And they've never been the same again. It's been an absolute nightmare. When you go into these playoff games, you need momentum. You need to go into these games against Partick or Dunfermline, whoever it's going to be, with momentum. And right now, St Mirren do not have that. They've got no momentum at all. I know they won on Wednesday. I mean, that'll be gutting for them. The fact they won and so did Kilmarnock. But they look a shell of the side that they've looked over the last, for that cup game. I don't know where they go from here. I mean, they're in serious trouble. Like, serious trouble. I think if you're Partick or Dunfermline right now, whoever wins that game tonight, you're looking at this thinking, we could beat them. Like, we could beat them over 2 legs. They look really poor. There's nothing to fear from me. So I think St Mirren are in serious trouble. I mean, winning a League Cup and getting relegated, that could generally happen. Robbie's a mate and stuff, but I would be genuinely concerned for St Mirren right now because I don't see how they stay up. Because Craig McLeish right now is showing his inexperience, and I think they're in serious trouble.
Heidi, as for Dundee United, they'll be wanting to go, play this game away in holiday, but to be fair, it's I'm having a joke by the way when I'm saying this, if any Dundee United fans are watching, but I think the Dundee United players has been on the beach for a few weeks now.
Yeah, I think Dundee United obviously they secure safety, they secure 7th place in the league. Some of the split games, obviously it's going to mean Thames obviously he's going to slip up, but I think now for Dundee United, just get the game done with. You know, if they lose, they lose. If they win, they win. You know what I mean? End of the day, they've secured 7th, and I think that's all that matters for Dundee United at this stage. And obviously, they'll head on to next season and see what players are bringing and what happens on next season. But I think for that game, it's just get it done with, get it over the line for them, and that's it, and move on to next season for them.
It's funny, Michael, you talk about United players being on the beach for the last few weeks. I mean, they've been playing on a beach park for the last few weeks. Basically. That pitch needs to seriously get a lot of work done in the summer because that's an absolute disgrace of a park.
And it's funny you say that, Graham, because last season we were actually mourning about Dens Park. Now we're mourning about Tannadice.
Well, how do you have 2 teams in the same city on the same road and yet both pitches are the complete opposite of each other? How does that happen?
Yeah, I know.
Dens Park looks like a bowling green. Honestly, it's unbelievable how bad that Tannadice Park is.
It must not be raining over in Dundee, but must be snowing in Dundee United. Okay, that before we go, let's have a look at the Scottish Premiership playoffs semi-final between Partick Thistle and Dunfermline. Before we get to that, it's a League One final. I think this is am I right in saying a local derby as well, Hamilton and Clyde? I mean, I wasn't that big in geography at school, Heidi, but I think I'm right with that one. I'm not actually sure.
I think they share the same stadium, do they not?
Yeah, but did they not swap halfway through the season, Glenn, because of
I think so, yeah.
Administration, yeah. So I wonder if Hamilton will be allowed to play at Clyde and, you know, and so the second leg tonight is 1 each in that game. I didn't see any of the goals from the game, so I guess I would mention that as well. Packet Thistle against Dunfermline. Graham, what do you think of this one?
I think this is such a tough game to call. I've been impressed with both of them this season. You know, Dunfermline, of course, still have that Scottish Cup final to look forward to. The job Neil Lennon has done, I think it's been incredible. I actually tipped Dunfermline to win the league start of the season. I don't really know why, maybe the Neil Lennon effect, but I think he's done a fantastic job. They've got a lot of really good players in there, but Partick Thistle at home. Do you know what? I think this is why I've always said for ages, that I think the league needs extended to allow teams like Partick and Dunfermline into the Premier League. I think they both offer something. But because it's at home for Partick and they got that drawn midweek, I kind of think Partick might just get over the line. I don't know. I just have a feeling that Partick might just get this done tonight. But whoever wins tonight, as I said, I think they'll fancy the chances against St Mirren.
Hey Dave, what about you? Packet Thistle. Obviously, the two ex-Celtic players going up against each other tonight.
Yeah, it is a massive game. Obviously, Partick's home record, they haven't lost a game at home all season like Hearts. So obviously their home record has been outstanding this season. Obviously, it's such a tight one to call. You look at both teams who have been great all season, you know what I mean? Partick's, been up there, Dunfermline's in a cup final. Neil Lennon's done a great job. Mark Wilson's done a great job at Partick. It's such a tough game to call. Honestly, whoever comes up deserves it, and I think whoever does come up is going to really fancy their chance against St Mirren, because how poor they've been after they've won that Scottish Cup, League Cup. I think they're really going to fancy their chances. I really hope either two of them come up, because I think it'll be so interesting to see two Championship clubs up in the Premiership. I think it makes it really interesting. I think as well, the league, I think, needs to be bigger for teams like that to be in the league. But yeah, it's such a tough one to call, but it's such a hard game to call. You just don't know who's going to turn up. But I would like Dunfermline for Neil Lennon, but at the end of the day, it's just mad to think that they'll be coming up to the league again. And I think the last time Partick won the league was maybe 2017, 2016 or something. They have been in the league obviously a few years ago now, but I just think that to see one of them come up will be great. It'll be great for the club, you know what I mean? But yeah, I just think it's such a tough game to call.
There you go. And if you see Reagan at the game, buy him a pie. He likes pie or maybe a sausage roll. Check out our TikTok page, because that's where he'll interview Neil Lennon and Wirral Matt Wilson after the game, and it will be up on our TikTok page. So that's the game tonight. The game's at the weekend as well. And I can't believe, Graham, that's the end of another season.
I know, it's crazy, and then we've got World Cup to look forward to. It's only like 28 days, I think. And I love World Cups and Euros anyway, but I think when your own nation's part of it, it just makes it that little bit more special. So yeah, there's still a lot of football to come, and I can't wait. I'm genuinely buzzing for that World Cup.
Yep, and we'll be doing shows all over the World Cup until Scotland win the World Cup, because I believe in miracles, maybe not. So thanks for watching the show tonight. Thanks to Heidi and thanks to Mr. Duffy. I'm using your Sunday name. I don't know why I'm using your Sunday name, but anyway, yeah, and we will do it all over again very soon. Thanks for watching. Thanks for all your comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. It is the Scottish Football Zone, and we'll see you soon.
You're watching the Scottish Football Zone with all the build-up and reactions.